for so long has been equal between men and women. It took a little bit longer with the venting, but not that much.
Has been equal between men and women for a long time. Adding the vents took a little longer, but not that much longer. Things inside the house have been very bad, and the royal family has never had to deal with anything like this before. What used to be a quiet family problem can't be kept inside any longer. The truth is finally coming out this time. Because of a secret that has been kept for too long, Princess Anne and King Charles have lost it. But this isn't just about fights in the family. This is a lot more than that. Let's find out what this means for the future of the kingdom. It's a story with many twists and turns. It might not be clear at first why Princess Anne and Queen Camilla never became friends. In the royal family, both women play important roles. At first glance, it looks like they share the same beliefs and duties. But as you learn more about their past, the reason they don't live together anymore becomes more personal and difficult. It's not just about royal responsibilities or how people see them in public. Their story goes back a long time and has a lot to do with love, loyalty and heartbreak. Camilla was seeing Andrew Parker Bowles a long time before she became a member of the royal family. A lot of people might not know this, but Andrew used to be very close to Princess Anne. They really felt like they had something in common, and for a while it looked like they might end up together. But in the end a big problem got in the way of their dreams. Andy was a Catholic, and Anne was a Church of England member. At that time there were strict rules that said Anne could not marry a Catholic. Anne and Andrew had a strong bond even though they didn't want to get married. But as they went their separate ways, the link slowly faded. Andrew and Camilla Shan were seeing each other on and off at the same time. Their relationship had many ups and downs, with times when they were close and times when they were apart. During one of these breaks, Camilla met Anne's brother Charles and things started to change. The personality of Camilla made Prince Charles want to be with her. He liked how cool and sure of herself she was, but their relationship didn't go smoothly. There were people who didn't think Camilla would make a good queen. Some people thought she didn't have the right look or background for the part. She was also a little older than Charles, and she had been in relationships in the past that made people in the royal family nervous. Not only that, but Charles was also sent to serve in the Royal Navy. When he got back, he saw that Camilla had gone back to Andrew. Soon after, in 1973, they got married. Everything changed because of this event. Charles lost the woman he loved, and Anne saw the guy who had been so important to her get married to someone else. The fact that the man had close ties with both Anne and Camilla made things even more complicated. No longer was it just about who got together with whom. The relationships left scars on my emotions and made my feelings complex that lasted for years. Their private lives were changed by these events for decades to come. Anne changed her mind and went in a different direction. She got married to Mark Phillips, and took her royal tasks very seriously. Even though she and Andrew were no longer dating, they were still very close. He was so important to her that she made him the godfather of her daughter Zara Tyndall. Even though Anne and Andrew have been close their whole lives, Camilla may have felt uncomfortable when she was married to Andrew. It's not easy to ignore the strong connection your partner has with a past flame, especially if that person is well known and admired like Princess Anne. Camilla was always calm in public, and she never made it clear that she didn't like Anne. But people who paid close attention to the royal family could feel the strain between them. After a few years, things got more complicated when Camilla's marriage to Andrew ended, and she married Prince Charles. Now Camilla was married to both Anne's ex-lover and her brother. The relationship was already tense from years of a troubled past, and this made things even stranger. Anne was always known for following the rules set by the royal family. She wasn't quick to accept people who didn't agree with her views or who came into the family through hard times. Cassie's road into the royal family was hard for someone like Anne to understand because she had lived her whole life with discipline and dedication. Even worse, a lot of people still saw Camilla as the person who helped end Charles and Diana's marriage. Many people loved and cared about Diana, and her memory was still strong. Anne saw Camilla not only as a person, but also as a sign of change in the government, one that didn't always follow the old rules. This was because Anne had worked for the Queen for many years, and had her own life experiences. Her feelings toward Camilla may not have been bad, but she did not agree with the choices that made her queen. Anne thought that being a princess meant job first, and feelings second. That belief drove her behaviors, and may have made her feel emotionally distant from Camilla. Because of this, Camilla's appearance caused mixed feelings not only in the royal family, but also probably in the public. Over time, the public saw fewer and fewer times when both people were together. They went to the same events together, but their exchanges were short and formal. In reality, the bond never really took shape. There was too much going on. It was hard to build anything important because of the shared history, the run-ins, the heartbreak, and the shifts in family roles. Their story doesn't have any open fights or big arguments. It's a quiet story about feelings that wouldn't go away, chances that were lost, and royal duties that shaped every choice. It began as a love triangle, but it turned into a stress that would last a lifetime. As the years went by, they both stayed strong in their jobs in the monarchy, but they never really stood next to each other. Duty comes before feelings. Anne had always had a quiet strength about her. She was strict, sensible, and only concerned herself with her royal responsibilities. It wasn't easy for her to show respect, and she didn't smile just to be nice. Anne thought that people had to gain respect by what they did. The royal title or family ties didn't mean much if they weren't backed up by real work and dedication. Because of this, Anne did not rush to greet Camilla when she became a member of the royal family. Watching closely, she kept her distance, and didn't offer anything more than what was needed. With Camilla becoming a member of the royal family, there were some new problems to solve. She was aware that her trip would not go easily. She knew that a lot of people in the monarchy and in the world had strong feelings about her. She was determined to not let the past, or other people's assumptions shape who she was. As time went on, she slowly began to take on more royal duties. She went all out to help people in need, stood next to Charles at public events, and learned how to move through the world of royalty with quiet grace. She showed more and more commitment over time. She wasn't just going to events for the sake of it. She put in the hours, listened, learned, and adjusted while working behind the scenes. The more Camilla stayed with them, the more Anne's feelings changed toward her. The change wasn't very big. Anne didn't become friendly or loving all of a sudden. She started to notice that Camilla was trying though. She saw that Camilla worked very hard and took her duties very seriously. It took a while for the strong pushback to give way. Anne started to understand that Camilla wasn't just there to enjoy being a queen. She was there to make a difference. But even though things changed, their friendship stayed formal. It never turned into a strong friendship. There was some space between them to be polite. During royal events, they were often seen standing close to each other, happy when they saw each other, and talking when they needed to. But they didn't smile all the way to their eyes very often, and their talks were cold. From the outside they looked nice, but people who paid more attention could tell that their relationship was mostly about keeping up appearances, and not really enjoying each other's company. They were tense in a quiet way because they had different ideas about their jobs. Anne had lived her whole life in the royal circle. She was raised in a traditional way, and had to follow strict rules. She didn't talk about it much. She did her job without any fuss. She just showed up every time. The royal family member was very busy, but she never made a big deal out of it. There was more to her than how she looked. Camilla went in a very different direction. She also came from a wealthy family, but she didn't grow up in the royal system. She wasn't ready for this life. She had to quickly change, learning how to deal with what people thought while also making a new image for herself. People's views of her changed when she chose to be more visible in public through media interviews and well-thought-out projects. You could see her journey in front of cameras as well as behind closed doors. She had to win hearts and prove her worth. This difference in style naturally led to some conflict. Duty was seen as something simple and often private. Camilla thought it was important to show and talk about sometimes, especially since people had been so against her in the past. Anne shaped Anne's view of life as a princess. Camilla's journey was shaped by her need to change. Even though these differences didn't make them enemies, they did keep them apart. Still, as the years went by, they became more balanced. People didn't often see them deep in discussion or making out, but they worked together without any open arguments. Both had made their way in the royal family. Anne kept going on her steady road, which was marked by quiet discipline and devotion. Camilla took a kinder, more public path, and kept her attention on her job as queen consort to King Charles and her charity work. but sometimes it was still clear how different they were. Anne's quiet judgment could still be felt when Camilla took on bigger tasks, especially as her job became more important. She might have been unsure if media attention and public favor should be so important in the royal family. Anne's job was never about getting along with other people. It was about always being there, no matter what. Camilla, on the other hand, had picked to be quiet at one point. For many years, she stayed out of the public eye and worked hard to change how people saw her. She didn't start to step forward with more confidence until after a lot of time and work. Not everyone liked how public she was becoming, and some members of the royal family were still hesitant. These people had worries that went beyond their own pain. Anne had questions about more than just whether she liked or disliked Camilla. They came from her own ideas about how the royal family should act. She believed in following rules, putting the crown above all else, and showing others how to do it by always being dedicated. There was a chance that Camilla didn't fully understand how heavy that duty was. Anne's steady influence stayed the same even as Camilla's role grew. The two women kept going around and around in the same loops. They were often next to each other but never fully linked. Their relationship, which was formed by quiet disagreements and mutual respect, became a small part of the story of the modern royal family as a whole. One that is based on past but is always changing to fit new situations, keeping the crown's history safe. Princess Anne had always obeyed the king or queen. It took her years of service, and a close relationship with her late mother, Queen Elizabeth, to make her very protective of the institution's image. She had a strong sense of duty, and a lot of rules to follow as a child. Not only were these principles passed down, they were also lived out every day. Anne found it hard to accept that her brother Charles was getting closer to marrying Camilla. The thought made her feel not only bad, but also like it went against everything the royal family stood for. The public was very upset about Charles and Camilla's romance while Princess Diana was still alive. The whole world had seen, judged and said bad things about it. During those years, Anne thought that the harm done to the royal family had left a mark. She thought that letting Camilla become queen, even if it was just as queen consort, would leave that mark forever. It was more than just a personal thought. Anne thought it was important to protect the honor of the crown. From the beginning, I didn't think Camilla could really handle the duties that came with being a senior queen. She didn't see the same dedication, strength or unwavering work ethic in those who took on the job with all their hearts. Being a princess was never about titles, praise or money for Anne. It was about being kind, strong and quiet, determined to serve the people. She thought Camilla hadn't shown that she could do that yet. Anne thought she needed to have control, resilience, and a strong sense of public duty, but she didn't seem to have them. As time went on, things got more complicated. The crown and Camilla's role both moved on to new levels. She was no longer a minor figure after becoming queen consort. She stood next to the king, putting the royal family in front of everyone. The importance of this change called for a serious talk. A meeting of the royal family was set up to talk about Camilla's situation, and Anne made sure that her voice was heard. Anne didn't hold back. It was not in her nature to lie, especially when it was her job to do so. It was easy to understand what she said. She didn't speak to attack, but to keep them safe. For her, this wasn't about her. It was about how the monarchy could stay strong and honored. She thought that the queen consort should be someone who could win people's trust, and who lived and breathed service all the time. Camilla wasn't that person, they thought. Things got tense during the talk. Camilla tried to stay calm as she listened quietly, but Anne's words hit her hard. This time, it wasn't about the press or the doubters. It had to do with family. It wasn't from strangers who said those things. Anyone inside the palace walls could have said it, and their view was very important. It really hurt a lot. Over the years, Camilla had worked hard to improve how people saw her. She was able to slowly turn the tide. The problems that used to follow her have gone away. Camilla was liked, respected and engaged more than before. It felt like all that work was being called into question right now. Anne took a strong stance. She had worked her whole life for the crown. She did hundreds of royal tasks every year, going all over the country and even farther, and she always showed up and did what she was supposed to do. Others might have wanted to be the center of attention, but Anne did the less exciting but just as important jobs that didn't get much attention.
It wasn't just a title, that she was known as the most hard-working queen. It was won by providing steady, quiet service for a long time. King Charles was in the middle of the room. As he listened to the talk, he kept his cool, and kept his face calm. Things are getting better because more and more people agree on what needs to be done right now. People around him had different thoughts, but Anne's words were more important. They were based on real life, to learn what it meant to be a crown representative for a lifetime. Camilla was sitting next to him. Her face showed that she was both strong and sad. She knew how to deal with criticism, but this was different. Someone in the royal family, someone she had hoped to win over, said this, and they meant it. She wasn't being mean to Camilla when she hit her. For her, the future of the monarchy and the need to protect its principles were very important. Her life as a princess wasn't something that could be jumped into. It was a calling that required full commitment, and Camilla still hadn't shown Anne that she was the right person to handle that duty. Anne didn't change her mind. Even when King Charles tried to keep the talk in check, she felt too much pressure. Anne was ready to tell the tough facts, even if they made people hurt. It wasn't about bias or anger. It was about keeping the crown's history alive. This meeting showed how deeply the royal family feels about things. It showed how hard it is to keep personal feelings separate from parts you play in public. It showed that hard talks have to happen even when tradition and ceremony are in place. It cost Anne a lot to stand up for what she believed in. Camilla was upset but calm. Carried the weight of that moment, a warning that in the royal world, every step forward is earned and never a given. Stayed steady through it all, her love for the crown never wavering. Her words were sharp and honest, and they came from a good place. The tone of that quiet, tense room made her message clear. Duty comes first over everything else. Going up against another opponent, Camilla worked hard for many years to become a member of the royal family. There was patience in her, and she worked hard and stuck to her job. People looked up to her, and she did everything she could to fit in with the royal family. She started to be accepted over time, though it wasn't always easy. People often made judgments about her based on how she looked or behaved. Camilla stayed strong though, and continued to do her royal tasks with honor. It was in doubt a long time, and was hard at times, but she finally got to a place of honor and respect. Then Catherine came into the picture. When she came, everything changed. People really liked Catherine right away. She looked a lot like Princess Diana in terms of beauty and charm. People in the news couldn't stop talking about her. People called her the new sign of kindness and grace. It was hard for Camilla because of these similarities. Her own work seemed to get lost in the crowd. She felt like all the hard work she had put in over the years had been forgotten. Catherine seemed to have become the big star that everyone was seeing coming. The bright light that used to seem like it could reach Camilla was now shining on Catherine. Catherine was becoming more and more famous, but both women stood together. As with again, Camilla seemed to get along well in public. People thought that everything was fine in the royal family, because they always looked good together. But rumors started to get around. People began to speculate on how Camilla might really feel about Catherine. It was said that she didn't like Catherine's past. Camilla grew up in a fancy home and was part of the top class from a very young age. Catherine, on the other hand, was raised in a middle-class home. Her parents didn't come from a wealthy family, but they worked hard to build a successful business. Katie had a normal life before she met Prince William. Like a lot of girls her age, she went to college, which is where she met William. The growth of their friendship was slow and natural. This was something people loved about her. She wasn't famous or a princess. She was a nice, normal woman who fell in love with a prince. It felt like their love story was real and true. As with Catherine, even more after that, the whole country was happy when Catherine and William got married in 2011. I was so thrilled to have someone like her join the royal family. Catherine was an icon of modern royalty from the moment she walked down the aisle. It was lovely to look at and touch her, and she was friendly and warm. She didn't act like she was better than everyone else. She got to know regular people, did charity work, and showed that she really cared about them. She always seemed genuine and at ease, whether she was talking to important world leaders or playing with kids. Catherine got more love and respect, but Camilla's problems didn't go away. She had worked hard to fit in, but now she was back in the shadow of someone else. Camilla had an even harder time because of all the attention Catherine got. Each time Catherine went out in public, she became even more well known. A lot of people liked her style, how kind she was and how graceful she was. There were groups of people everywhere she went to see her, but Camilla still had to deal with people criticizing her and comparing her to others. She always tried to show how valuable she was, especially since she was married to Prince Charles. Nobody seemed to be interested in her though, no matter how hard she tried. Catherine had made close friends even in the royal family. Queen Elizabeth liked her, and it was clear that Prince Harry loved her. She had a real and warm relationship with the people around her. It was hard for Camilla not to feel alone. It's possible that she thought all the attention she wanted was now going to someone else. Camilla reached a new high point in her life when Charles finally became king. She was now queen consort, which was the highest position she had reached in her royal career. But even with this great award, something was still missing. Elizabeth's face often looked like it was upset. There wasn't any happiness. There was a quiet anger. Catherine was still very famous. It had even gotten stronger. Heidi and Camilla kept showing up together, smiling for the cameras, and cheering each other on at events. But there was a race going on behind the scenes. Some people didn't talk about it, but everyone felt it. Even though both women did a great job with their parts, there was a feeling of stress in the air. Every single one of them knew how the public saw and judged her. Everyone saw them together, and they looked calm and put together. Emotions were much more complex than that though. She had worked hard for years to get where she was. Kate seemed to win people over overnight. Their friendship was shaped by this quiet competition. Even though they didn't say or do anything to show it, it was clear in the way they stood, smiled, and moved around while the world watched them fight a lost war. We're not going to be able to do this quickly. Camilla the Queen Consort, and Catherine the Princess of Wales, have had a relationship for years, but over that time public opinion, royal standards, and their personalities have changed. People in the world have always had very different views on these two women, even though they are both important to the royal family. This difference is a big part of how they are treated, and how much power they have. Many people love Catherine as a modern and classy princess, but Camilla has had a hard time getting over her past and being accepted by the public. Even after years of service, Catherine has always been seen as a new member of the royal family who is welcome. She seems warm, calm and real, which makes people respect her. People can relate to her better because her background is less fancy than most royals. Her marriage to Prince William made her more well-known, and the way she acts in public has only made people admire her more. People often see her smiling, being nice to others, and working for issues that are important to regular families. The road for Camilla has been a lot more difficult. People thought badly of her for a long time, especially since she was linked to the painful breakup of Charles and Diana. The people in the media made her look like she didn't fit in. She thought about that picture for a long time. A lot of people still think of the bad times when they think of her. Even though she married Charles and became queen consort, many people don't notice or remember how hard she works because of old scandals. She has taken on many tasks, helped many charities, and been loyal to the royal family. A lot of what people think about these two women comes from the media. Catherine is often shown in a bright light. Photos of her are often praised, and stories about her focus on how kind she is, and how much she cares for her children. Camilla's coverage, on the other hand, is more uneven. There are stories that talk about her work, but many of them also talk about her past or compare her to Diana. These differences stand out even more on social media. People who follow Catherine's posts love and support her, while Camilla's get mixed responses or mean comments all the time. All of this changes how people see them and how much power they have in the royal family. Catherine is now seen as someone who can change the course of royal history. Because she is so well known, she has a lot of power behind the scenes. Someone inside the palace is said to value her ideas, and see her as a leader who can take the family into a new era. But Camilla still has doubts, both from outside the family and maybe even from within it. It takes more work on her part to keep her place strong, and she often relies on custom and the fact that she is Charles's wife. The way the royal family is set up makes things even more difficult. Everything is done in a way that has been done for a long time. Because of hundreds of years of history, each member has a place and a job. This makes things harder when someone like Catherine stands out more because she is well known and powerful. The rules say that everyone should follow them, but personal goals and public opinion can change how things work behind the scenes. As queen consort, Camilla is responsible for a lot of things. She is supposed to back up the king, speak for the crown, and help shape how the family is seen by the public. Not only does she play a symbolic part, she also has real power. But Catherine is also a strong figure, because she is becoming more well-known and is married to the future king. She is also the mother of the next generation. People admire and look up to her because she brings modern ideals to a very traditional setting. Camilla hasn't been able to do that. This change in power is made even bigger by Prince William. It's clear that he cares about Catherine, which makes her more important to the family. He needs to be obedient because he will be king one day. Charles, on the other hand, has to balance his duties as king with his relationships with his wife and his son's family. This balance is very fragile, and any sign of favoritism or conflict can make things worse. Both women must be careful and polite as they compete for attention, approval, and power in this quiet but very real way. Catherine is becoming more and more important, because she cares about important issues and her family. Her work to improve mental health, early childhood education, and family well-being makes her more popular with the people. People respect and admire her more because her actions show that she knows what ordinary people are going through. Her close friendship with Prince William and their children also makes her seem warm and stable, which many people like. Camilla, on the other hand, tries to stay important by staying close to custom and King Charles. Some see it as a way for her to strengthen her legacy that she has also worked to get parts and honors for her own family. But these moves don't always make her look better in public. The public likes Catherine better because she is more in touch with the world today, because she is modern and open. Catherine strengthens her place by using how well-liked and connected she is with others. Camilla, on the other hand, relies on her rank and her many years of experience as a royal. Because they are different, their relationship is always changing. Each step they take together helps build the memory they will leave behind. Catherine will always be one of the most important and well-liked members of the royal family because her role is growing and the public backs her up. People of all ages look up to her as a sign of strength and hope because she balances duty and kindness. Do you think that people will ever fully accept Camilla? Describe your thoughts in the space below. Like and subscribe to this channel if you like this movie. Watch the other videos on your screen before you leave.